The Vanilla Ice in the way that, like, we want you to wear baggy jeans. It's like, nah way, I'm not doing that, man. What if we give you $1 million? Fuck yeah, I lick my mama's fart box to get that money.
Hi, my name's Vanilla Ice, and welcome to the Games with John and James podcast. I promise I'm not stealing anything from them. Doom, 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 doo, doom, doom. That's mine. Doom, 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 doo, doom, doom. That's mine. That's what I feel like Vanilla Ice would be as a guest of us.
Well, we're never going to get him on the show now. Now he can't prove it.
He's too busy building homes, right?
Is that really what he's doing now? Did he have a redemption arc that we don't know about?
He had like a TLC,
realty show?
Finder, Fixer, Upper kind of show. So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, I'm James.
And I'm John.
And you are sitting with us at Games with John and James, where...
.com.
Dun-dun-dun.
The website we still don't have yet.
Damn it, our URL doesn't exist.
Yeah, but our voices do, and so do our opinions, and you're going to hear some of them about some 90s video game cartoons.
What screams 90s better than...
Dunkaroos.
Burger King Shake 'em Up fries?
Oh my god. I wanted to forget those.
Shake it. Shake it how you want.
What you want to do is you want to take the Kraft macaroni and cheese pouch and pour it into your paper bag as you're in the backseat of your car.
That won't hurt your kids at all.
That won't, become like a freaking smoke bomb of cheese in the backseat of your van.
Oh, God, that's so bad.
I think I just got flashbanged with Kraft macaroni. It's the freaking cheesy.
Quick, throw the grenade down the hall. Or like the Taco Bell volcano burrito.
What?
Oh, if we're going deep 90s, for every cartoon, there has to be a 90s meal that you can no longer get. Or place you could no longer visit.
We can't get the McLobster anymore, so...
I mean, that's fair. So don't worry, I've got the meals covered. I have spicy.
All right. For some reason, I'm picturing volcano burrito as what happens after you eat Taco Bell. Easiest joke in the world. But...
joke's on you. I eat $20 worth of Taco Bell per meal, and I'm fine.
I was just about to say I need to inspect your butthole, but no, we're not doing that. Huh. This isn't the Super Mega podcast.
Well, John just graduated us to After Dark.
No, we're going to cut this. This is just stupid.
So forgive us for that long preamble, but as you can see, we tangented hard. We want to... Something that's really big for us. As you know, we're both in our 30s, and gaming cartoons... We're both in our 30s, and we're sorry. Yeah, we're sorry. We're old. They were a big part of our childhood. Be it the Darkstalkers show or the Mega Man show.
I like how that's Gym. The first one because
I am just mentioning shows. I didn't say if they're good or bad yet.
I know it's already. It's like when that's the first one that comes out. It's like okay, we really want to cut this thing open.
Mega Man, Sonic.
Oh god, yeah. He had 2 cartoons. He got 3 cartoons before Sonic X, which is like why not just have him make an anime? But it's not even been 5 minutes. We're getting way off track and even way ahead of ourselves right now.
So. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be right back, so don't touch that dial, and welcome into our minds and a blast from our past with wonderful 90s video game cartoons and the occasional random meal while John looks at me judgingly for having to remember the horror of childhood meals.
See, we've already screwed the pooch on this because it should be like, stay tuned, more games with John and James after these messages with like a cool music stinger, then it goes into a toy commercial. So we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Will somebody please cue that voice?
Samurai pizza cat.
Oh, yeah!
Who do you call when you want some pepperoni?
Samurai pizza cat.
Right on!
They're stamping out crime, and you know that ain't baloney. They're speedy ceviche.
It's like the shrimp lady.
I'm ready. You ready?
So
I feel like I'm the only one who played Cyberpunk in this room.
You definitely are. I have not acquired that yet. Like this year has been chaos, so I haven't even had a chance to enjoy any of the games that have come out yet.
You say chaos.
I mean, joke's on you because that could be the first cartoon.
What? Final Fantasy had a cartoon?
I hate you. I'm trying to give him the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to probably speak his favorite cartoon show of all time. Maybe. Oh, okay. Well, emphatically, yes.
I feel like this is one of the things that we should have prepared more for because let's just start from the very beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So with every licensed property, there is stuff that goes with it. We've talked about it before. You knew how prolific a mascot was, especially from a video game. If there were lunch boxes, backpacks, school supplies, trapper keeper folders, whatever. If you could sell the face, people would want the face, right? Sonic the Hedgehog was a big proponent of that. A lot of 80s stuff, like the Mario Brothers, like the Nintendo cereal system with like the Link and the Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers marshmallows in it.
Oh my God.
So like this has existed for a long time. And one of the coolest staples of that era were cartoons. Because if RoboCop and Rambo can get a kid's cartoon, I think Mario, Sonic, Bubsy, Battletoads, like they can all get one.
I mean, facts. And honestly, so as John mentioned, like video games, they were huge proponents of selling for everything. And as you know, back then, kids were the primary targeted demographic. They still are to a giant degree, but back then it was how much can we front load for your kids to buy so you can, give us your hard-earned cash.
Thanks to Reaganomics, we used to have to invent things like Transformers in order to get them to buy stuff.
Robots in disguise.
But now we can just take things that already exist and make a cartoon of that.
I am Unicron.
You know?
That's going to be, you know what? I'm mentioning an honorable mention right out the gate, not at the end like other people do, because, we have to be cutting edge here.
Yeah.
It's not a cartoon show, but the Transformers movie from the 80s, that was the pinnacle and piece de la resistance of animated video game movies, not cartoon shows.
Okay. I mean, we can start from there. I thought the whole point of Transformers was to sell a toy line, not necessarily a video game.
You are right, but I don't know, just...
Transformers are inherently gamey anyway, so...
Well, let me ask you, who was the voice of Unicron, John?
Orson Welles.
Exactly. Orson Welles in an animated movie with that deep baritone voice. Obviously, they probably had to do a few things to it. Obviously, like, we're not dumb. But the fact that they murdered Optimus Prime, like in the opening act, respect.
It's because they wanted to sell different toys. Now I get it. There's an entire... you know what? Shout out to Movie Bob over at Movie Bob Central and all that, because he did a series called Really That Good. He talks about cultural touchstone movies like that, were they really that good? He posits that question. So there's an entire 40-minute YouTube essay style show episode where he talks about the Transformers movie. Go watch that and go get a new perspective on that, because that actually was a pretty dang good movie and did a lot of the things opposite a lot of people thought it did. So yeah, I will give some respect right there, but I think let's stay on track and talk exclusively about video games. What do you say?
Exactly. Farewell, Orson Welles. R.I.P. Well, 40 years too late, but R.I.P.
Yeah, too busy selling fish sticks and counting rose petals. Anyway.
So, honestly, you know what? I think when we talk about TV shows, we already know when it comes to video games, 80s and 90s were dominated by two characters. You had Super Mario and you had Sonic. Mario honestly gets a lot more love throughout history, so I think, John, you should lead us off with the best Sonic cartoon.
My favorite or the best? Because that's a very tricky subject.
Well, hit me.
You know what? Because I don't think if it counts, because we started this whole thing with 90s nostalgia. My favorite of the Sonic cartoons is probably Sonic X.
Oh, that one was the new one, right? Wasn't that late 2000s, early 2010s?
At the turn of the millennium,
There you go. So that still technically counts.
So Fox, they were having their only Saturday morning block, and they had the Fox box with the Kirby cartoon and a bunch of other crazy shows. The American localization of things like Ultimate Muscle and Fighting Foodons and crap like that. So a lot of weird stuff. But one of the biggest gets they got was when they announced, hey, Sonic's getting an anime. And I'm like, it's about time. They already took it way too seriously with the Sad AM. So, and they didn't, and the Bugs and Elmer riff of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and the super serious dark one where, freaking a bee overdoses on LSD in the comics.
I mean, they set Sonic up for success. Remember the movie, the OVA movie that came out where Metal Sonic was in the movie? That iconic scene of...
If I would have known that existed when I was a kid, I would have lost my mind.
So I will never forget. So I was, as you know, as everyone knows, I wasn't the biggest Sonic person. I got those at the tail end. I'm living in Italy. and I'm on a trip for school. I'm in Naples competing against our high school for some sports. And my parents were like, I know you like to buy stuff, so here's some extra money. Don't blow it all. And I bought 2 things. I blew my money on 2 VHSs, a collection called the Slayers Animated Series.
Hell yeah.
My favorite anime of all time. That entire series, all 5 seasons. And I saw this standalone Sonic movie with metal, like that. Remember the half and half face? It was like Sonic and Metal Sonic. And it was like, so I don't know if this was just over in Italy.
I think it might have been because the ADV cover was kind of lame, but
It was so cool. And then the VHS tape itself was white.
yep, I remember that.
And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Color me intrigued. I've never seen a white VHS tape. My
You know what the only problem VHS tapes said is they were black.
oh my God. You can't.
That's what you're saying. Finally, a VHS tape for me.
James, you're cutting this.
Why? It's Foony.
Oh, no.
That was the time to announce our sponsor. Big whiteout.
Oh, man. But I picked it up.
Uh-huh, okay.
And I had no expectations whatsoever because I wasn't the biggest Sonic fan. And when I played it, I watched it through, and then I rewound the whole thing, watched it again, and then had dinner. I think we ate out. I came back a couple hours later, and I watched it again.
You watched it 3 times.
in one day, and my parents said I had problems, which, I mean, hey, look at me now.
Look at me now. Color coding my VHS tapes.
Oh, God.
But anyway.
That movie set the, because you mentioned it being an anime, and it was about time.
Mm-hmm.
That movie showed us they could have done that a lot earlier, because that movie was cool. That movie was awesome, and it was so well animated.
It was really well done, and it was a lot of fun, and it's the same type of mentality I kind of took into like every Sonic animated thing afterward, where like if I was 5 years old and saw that, it would be my favorite thing of all time. Even when I was in like 4th or 5th grade when that came out, I went to a Sam Goody and I got the last copy. And I remember I had a similar experience. I didn't watch it like multiple times, but I remember just watching it and being like, this blows my mind. And then as I began to like collect things later in my video game collecting career, I got a Sega Saturn with a copy of Sonic Jam. And if you go into the museum there, it shows you clips of that movie.
Yo.
If I would have known about that when that game came out, because that was 1996.
Yep.
If I would have known about that, I would have gone insane. I've been like, there's a Sonic movie and it's not here.
No.
Okay.
I am forever alone.
I mean, you can actually shout if you want. But what the thing is about that's I'm glad we're talking about this, because when we say it's about time and we get like anime and stuff like that, like think about all the stuff that we got as kids that we just kind of had to eat up because it was made for us, right?
The Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Oh, I love that cartoon. Anyway, but here's the thing. So we had to eat up as much as we could because there was just so little of the stuff that we loved and we just wanted more.
Everything was being churned out because so when like Sonic, it was what, Sonic EX, right?
Sonic X.
Sorry, Sonic X. When Sonic X came out, think of how, like, you hit the nail on the head. How many other like video game cartoon shows or just cartoon shows in general were out there? Like, you had to like kind of pick and choose at that point because it was so much stuff was being churned that the good stuff like Sonic X or the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Well, like I think separating it wholly from like an East via West thing, or like what was made for the American market versus the Japanese market, there was a cool Dragon Quest anime. There was the animated Street Fighter 2 movies. There was all sorts of this cool stuff that just existed. There was like every fighting game for like, as a rule, every fighting game had an anime. So like there were 3 Fatal Fury movies, a Tekken movie, and a Battle Arena Toshinden movie.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
And I think every single one of them has a shower scene with the main female character. So I'm like, okay, tropes. But the fact that, the Japanese market got that stuff and we got the frickin' Bubsy pilot and the Battletoads pilot and all that garbage, it's like, come on.
So would you say, for anybody that is listening to us on the nostalgia trip, because we do tend to nostalgia hard on this podcast, go out and watch Sonic X and thank you later?
I would say if you are one of those people who is very subs over dubs, watch the Japanese cut. If you are, someone who's like, will kind of respect it for what it is, you can watch the dub of it because it's done by 4Kids, and 4Kids was notorious for making everything worse.
I mean, that's fair. Can we, since you mentioned dubs, I'm going to throw a random honorable shout out. Remember Samurai Pizza Cats?
Yes, I do. I very much do. And that game actually had a video game. It was like Kitty Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. So shout out. So I know that's weird for shout outs, but Samurai Pizza Cats, the dub wasn't the actual translation. Remember that?
I do remember that. And when I was a kid, I didn't notice or care. But like, I just thought it was a wacky cartoon show.
I watched, so Martha had heard me mention it. And she was like, what on earth is this? I was like, oh, I'm glad you asked. This is one of those things where translation means nothing. She's like, what? And so I showed her the history of it. She's like, there's no way they did that. I was like, oh, there is. Watch an episode. And she looked at me. She's like, who approved that? I was like, I don't know, but I appreciate them.
Saban, when they were getting into like the whole dubbing anime thing for a while, when they did things like Digimon, they did stuff like that. They're one of the few studios that actually kind of were respectful of the original source material and didn't like dumb things down or like cut much out. They were pretty true to the original concepts and stuff. So when that happened with Samurai Pizza Cats, it's like, oh, we just didn't get any show notes or script notes or anything. So make it up.
Exactly. Like, God bless you. If anything, I'm saying, and I'm not the Sonic guy, watch Sonic X. If you are a fan of all things Sonic or even anime, it's not a bad watch at all. There
are some things that might be cringe, but trust me, if you compare that to some of the stuff you'd see in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Underground or even Sad AM at some points, yeah, I don't like the word cringe, but I'm going to use the word cringe.
I think most video game cartoon adaptations have some form of cringe in them. Like, to a degree, I'd say. Like, and then also shout out, watch at least one episode of Samurai Pizza Cats. Comment on our Instagram or Facebook. Let us know what you thought of that amazingness, please and thank you.
Speaking of VHSs we also had, like just a callback real quick, I actually have the Samurai Pizza Cats movie on VHS.
Let's go! I know what we're watching one day.
And it's not even a movie, it's just the first episode followed up by the final 2 episodes for an hour and a half block. And I'm like, but there's the entire series is just gone in between. There's no content. And they're like, oh, kids will just buy anything.
Yeah, hey, you have a VHS player with that TV you got, that old CRT, so.
I do.
Movie night, it's gonna be a movie date with me and John. We're gonna go all night long.
Ew.
So, okay, I think... So John mentioned a really awesome one. We touched base on this one a little bit ago. We didn't get to really talk too much in depth about the cartoon series, but if you remember our Mega Man episode and the Square Enix State of Play, I will keep saying that.
Square Enix State of Play, yes.
Basically. The Mega Man TV show.
Yeah, that's kind of what spurred this on. Like, finding that theme song and listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember being a kid and loving the crap out of this cartoon. And even though it has some of the things that I would say have not particularly aged well or might be, quote, cringe, like, there's still a lot of fun to be had. Like, there are some episodes I've watched where it's like, oh, this is just a dope action cartoon where they're just, like, blowing up robots. This is cool.
I mean, if you listen to this...
We're fighting robots, Mega Man.
Literally, 3 words. And then, Mega Man.
Oh, my God.
Literally, super fighting robot, Mega Man. God bless you, 80s and 90s.
I need to take over editing duties again. I can't let you keep getting away with this. But
that show was a lot of fun. It
got 2 seasons. So,
it did.
And there's that forever. I'm going to use this one GIF. If you can find it, it's a GIF of a drawbridge just slapping down on a boat. It's the funniest fucking thing.
I remember that. Oh my God. Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah, it's just, if the boat's just like, okay, here we go. This is the best. I like how we're doing visual gags on an audio show, but anyway.
Hey, we're taking you on a journey through your mind.
Yeah, so if you listen to this podcast while driving a motorcycle, don't imagine something. Focus on the road, please.
Focus.
Do not crash.
So the Mega Man video games, I'm not going to go too far in depth because you heard us talk about that. So back then, it was still the regular Nintendo games. It hadn't fully made its way over to Mega Man X or the Super Nintendo.
But there was an episode where Mega Man X and Spark Mandrill and Vile made a cameo.
Mm-hmm. And that episode, if you watch, out of the whole series, that episode I think aged the best because if you look at Mega Man X, if you look at Spark, Mandrill, and Vile, their drawing style was completely different than that of Mega Man, Roll, Rush, Dr. Light, and Wily and his robots. And you could actually see like it looked like a perfect blend of future animation and past.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, it's really interesting too. How, like, if you actually look at the history of that cartoon in particular, and how when they did the initial pilot / they were advertising like, we're going to make a cartoon show, and Mega Man 7's coming out, and like, this will be a hit with boys ages 4 to 12 or whatever. I don't know, like that whole sales pitch, right? The original pilot was done a lot more in the style of the actual Japanese box art and those games and stuff, which if they would have gone with that, it probably would have aged way better.
Absolutely.
But it would have been completely different. Like, it would have focused on, it would have felt more kiddie, I think. But, like, both styles really aren't too bad. Like, the Ruby Spears look was pretty dang good.
Absolutely. Like, I miss that show. I remember waking up early before school. So I would wake up probably an hour and a half before I was supposed to wake up so I could watch like the early morning cartoon block, the one that only had the least commercials. I didn't have to see the stupid infomercials or anything.
Because you grew up outside of the United States, right?
For the most part, but I did have a brief window where I was living in Illinois when I was growing up, and it was when I was in Illinois from second grade up until the start of sixth grade. That's where I got to really enjoy like everything 90s-ish in America before leaving again.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like for me, my major like stomping grounds when it comes to like Saturday morning stuff was always like Fox Kids or sometimes like the ABC Family stuff when they did their whole Made in Japan block and stuff like that. But like USA Network and like TNT had Saturday morning cartoons and a lot of stuff that got put out there that I didn't even get a chance to see. So
it was a good time to be a kid. I think 90s cartoons were amazing. Newer cartoons are also nice, but those cartoon blocks, they hit hard and they hit good.
I mean, we can meme about it, but at the same time...
Eek the cat, come on.
I know we're nostalgic for that kind of stuff, but like I'm pretty sure kids, when they grow up, are going to have the same conversations about like Adventure Time and Steven Universe and Amphibia and all sorts of stuff.
So challenge for any of you who have children who are listening to the podcast, play an episode of any of these that we are mentioning or Eek the cat.
Or, show them Earthworm Jim and scar them.
And tell us what your child thinks. And if they happen to like it, winner, chicken dinner.
That means you have a good child.
We judge our children if they don't like the 90s. They're wrong.
That means we approve of your parenting. God. So we've sung a lot of praises about Mega Man, but I think one of the cool things about that show, and one of the last things I'll touch on before moving into the trifle and the crap that there is out there, the cool thing about a lot of video games, especially back then, was that they were really suited for a cartoon style storytelling.
Absolutely.
So, like, I mean, Super Fighting Robot Mega Man.
Super fighting robot, Mega Man.
What's he do? He beats up bad guys and gets their power, and then can like beat those guys with his power, right? Like, if you applied that, which most of the episodes actually did, to the actual like story structure, it's like, okay, like, first act setup, Dr. Wily's up to no good. Second act, like, Mega Man tries to fight him and like can't do it. So he gets a new power up or some new thing that happens and foils Dr. Wily's plot. Like, story structure wise, like the writer in me sees that. I'm like, yes, that's awesome. Just do stuff that the video games do. And it lends itself perfectly to that kind of medium.
Absolutely.
Whereas like you look at the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oof.
And that's one of the first examples that I can vividly remember of basically saying like, okay, we have a game where a guy shoots fireballs out of his hands and like sometimes picks up turnips and throws them at ostriches. What do we do with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I remember watching that show. It was 95 when I first saw that show.
Wow.
Pretty late, right?
Yeah, and like, God, we're skipping over so many ones. We'll talk about them.
Well, I mean, hey, we'll have dishonorable mentions for sure. Like, I remember watching that show. Like, it felt so disjointed and it felt so all over the place. It literally felt like, so I'm going to describe the writing pitch. All right, for this episode, what do we do with this crazy psychotic plumber? We're going to go here. He's going to do this. Something, fire plant, talking Yoshi. And it's
That's the Mario World cartoon.
And it's like...
That was the third one.
What?
Dude.
I
they
feel
were-
like the writers of all the Mario shows were no.
Dude, like, okay, like, I think we're talking about different shows because there were at least 3 different Mario cartoons. There was the Mario Brothers Super Show, there was Super Mario Brothers 3, and there was the Super Mario World cartoon.
So I'm talking about the world. My apologies. Super Mario World, the cartoon. That one was also a train wreck.
Hey, Mario, look, I made a football. That's a stone, Luigi. You didn't make that. Yeah, it's that kind of show.
You almost made me spit my water out. Stop.
I know, my impression's just so good.
Suddenly you hear my microphone frying.
Oh no, Mario! I got Emperor Palpatine's tongue up in my asshole.
Oh God.
So what I'm saying is that like in the Mario Super Show, it's like you had, the Mario 2 gang of Peach, Toad, Luigi, and Mario, and they would just go on these cartoony adventures where it's like, okay, what did cartoons do? Adventure cartoons, like you go to some crazy place and fight some bad guy or something, right?
Yep.
Or like, King Koopa gets his feet licked or something, or they go to a Milli Vanilli concert. It's like, what? This is just crazy. Like,
I'm telling you, the writers of the older Mario shows,
they were very French. Anyway,
they were out there, and I will see your bad episode because I like this. I feel like we left the audience with a high. Now we're kind of delving into the drudgery. John, I'm going to pitch an idea to you.
All right,
I have a really popular video game. It's super violent, where fatalities and everything happen.
Oh God, that sounds like a very lucrative deal.
How about we turn it into Mortal Kombat: Defenders of the Realm?
And you get Ron Perlman to be Curtis Stryker. You know what? I can smell the money already.
How do we make sure that kids can see this so the parents don't come after us?
Oh my God, the fact that was a show. Dude, like I mentioned at the top of the episode, like Rambo and RoboCop and The Toxic Avenger, like those 80s properties, one of which was almost rated X, got a cartoon. Hell, Police Academy got a cartoon. But like, you can really take anything and, do what you will with it. And I think there was a lot more leniency when it came to like, well, kids will like it and if we just make it a certain way. But like,
how do we bypass the fatalities there, John?
We just don't have them.
We have them fight an army of robotic ninjas.
That just seems racist to robots.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. But they were established in the canon of the game anyway, so that made more sense anyway.
I mean,
it's not like the putties in Power Rangers where you just hit them and they explode like action figures because they're literally clay action figures. And they have the giant Z's on their chest and all sorts of stuff.
Quick, hit him in the Z.
Hit the Z button.
Like,
hit him in his Z hole.
I still can't believe that made it into a TV show. Like, what? Like, I get you're chasing money because the Mortal Kombat video game was making money.
Well, think about like Mortal Kombat the movie. Like that was PG-13. There was no real fatalities in there. There was more violence because it was a fighting tournament.
Which one would you rather watch? The OG one or
Scorpion's Revenge?
No. The new animated ones are amazing. Or Annihilation.
I would never want to touch Annihilation ever again. Even as someone who was morbidly curious about it way after the fact, that movie was terrible. And I don't want us to go, because we can have the whole discussion about video game movies in a whole other episode.
Okay.
Let's keep it on cartoons.
Okay, so that's fair. So I think we've mentioned a
So you got beef with Mortal Kombat.
The Defenders of the Realm was a shit show of a show.
We get one of those per episode.
So what's another one you feel kind of missed its mark?
Where do I even start? The biggest one I'm going to give you is one that you mentioned right at the top. And that's why I was kind of like hoping you didn't. I wanted you to bury the lead a little bit more. Darkstalkers got a cartoon.
Ugh.
And Darkstalkers was done by the same studio that was doing X-Men at the time. One of which was much more popular than the other, so you could just tell that the B or C team was on Darkstalkers, and it was awful. Now, one of the weird things about that show is that the way that they try to make it so it has context for kids, first off, Darkstalkers as a property probably wasn't the hottest commodity around. Like, when you think about the things that came out in the 90s, like a Street Fighter was like a mega smash hit. Yep. Mario was a smash hit. Sonic, all those all the like millions and millions sellers. Darkstalkers was still pretty niche even for that lucrative of like the fighting game thing that came out in the fighting game renaissance of the 90s.
I mean, let's be real. It only kind of surged into a little bit of popularity because in the first Marvel vs. Capcom, you could be Morgana or
Morgan
Felicia,
and Felicia.
right?
And
that's the only reason they even got noticed for popularity. Let's be real.
It's, I can't knock that. It's true. Sex appeal, sex sells. But one of the things that was
Don't sell sex yourself.
yeah, don't do that unless you have an OnlyFans where it's legal. But what was I gonna-
Feet.
Oh God, no! Don't invite those people here. we can accept furries and everybody else, but not feet people.
Oh, damn it.
Poor
John.
guys. Anyway, no. The one thing that's really weird about that show is like the way that they tried to cater cartoons to kids. Back in the day was like they'd probably make like an OC. And the OC would basically be like, somehow tangentially related to like the one character in the story, which would make them connected to the whole metaverse of everything, right?
Yep.
And this one guy, they give, this character is named Harry, I think, in the cartoon. I remember watching the show and I just wanted to forget it. But and so in order to kind of make him stay connected to the actual characters and stuff, they opted to give Felicia that role of kind of like the genie / conscious character. And it's just imagining some cat girl bikini, scantily clad, butt showing, like nun gymnast, just kind of hanging out in this kid's bedroom.
A nun gymnast.
It's-
You're pretty accurate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things I could like. There's weirdly a lot of story behind Darkstalkers, but the whole thing is that they give the kind of like the magical like aide / fairy / genie / helper character.
Yep.
They make it Felicia, and I'm like, what?
You remember when she just randomly turned into a little cat?
I do, yes.
It's like, what?
And what's funny too is that in that show you could just tell that they were basically just scrambling. Like we basically just made like the furry bait character into this kid's like mom, so we got to make sure that she's wearing like a tracksuit in the next episode. It is hilarious, and like it's just so nonsensical and bad. And there's the episode where Dimitri and Morgan go on a talk show.
My name is Dimitri.
Even though you are curiously attractive for a fish person. But I will say a lot of these shows were dubbed and like voiced over in Canada. Scott McNeil, shout out to you, man. Like you were in like every cartoon and you were awesome as every character.
Amen to that. So I'm going to pitch one final bad idea to you, and I want to see. So we're going to have a little fun, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do Name That Train Wreck of a Show.
All right, hit me.
Starring John Johnny John.
Mm.
He is John Johnny John.
That's how do you know my Christian name?
I am John Johnny John.
My mother calls me the name that. Nah, she doesn't call me. Anyway.
So Kevin and his dog take the ultimate warp and find out he's the chosen one, and he has to save basically all video games.
You are not going to sit here and insult Captain and the Game Master in front of me.
Ding, 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 ding. Johnny.
You are not going to insult that show in front of me.
It was not good.
It was not good, but look what they were working with. Like, in its infant stages of video game popularity, like they did exactly what most people would do when it's like, okay, smash all this stuff together and make something interesting.
We have to stop Mother Brain from taking over video game land.
Yeah. If you were like 5, that'd be like cool.
Fair, but I think in like the tail, so that's why I'm mentioning this one last. It was bad, but it was the best of a bad situation.
Here's what, again, some of my opinions and stuff are very much mine, but others also are more informed by other people I've listened to over the years, whether through YouTube and video essay type stuff I've heard before.
Absolutely.
And it echoes a certain sentiment that I carry. So It's nice to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Look at the character of Kevin in that show, and he's like on a junior varsity like swimming team. He's like, pretty academic and like helpful and has a lot of really cool friends. He's outgoing and sociable and he's like heroic and stuff. And he has time to master video games. That's a pretty dang well-rounded like caricature of a gamer as far back as when gaming was still kind of in its infancy. I think that's pretty cool.
You're righticus.
What? Fuck that. It was a boomerang joke. It came, it's like, Mega Man. No.
So I think it had a lot of promise because it delivered on what you would want as a childhood gamer. Like, it immersed you, and it's like, oh, hey, I could do that, right?
Yeah.
And like, as kids, our imagination runs wild. But where it loses you, at one point we have Simon Belmont
Well, like,
helping you, and then you have Kid Icarus who ends
not going by Pitt.
ends every sentence, whatever the last word in Icus. I'm going Fasticus.
Yeah.
John is Johnicus.
Yes.
Microphone is Microphonicus.
And then Mega Man sounded like a smoker, like,
It's not my birthday,
yeah.
I would like
so mega slow.
So
I am Zorak.
Anyway.
I think nowadays a show like that could be a home run. But back then, no.
Well,
No.
the other thing I will really say about, in terms of the characterizations of certain stuff, like you look at Simon Belmont as this weird pretty boy, like hiker man, you know, and not like the loincloth barbarian he was on the cover of the first game.
Hiker man.
But like, if you wanted to build that kind of hero team, you'd have a noble hero who with wings who looks like a little boy, and noble hero who's a robot and also a little boy. You know what I'm saying?
Heroicus.
Yeah, Heroicus. There you go.
Heroicus. Oh wow, that's a weird one. Heroicus.
You can't even say it. But again, when you see that kind of stuff made in its infancy, you know, I'd probably enjoy that more over Power Team.
Okay, that's fair.
Because you know Power Team, don't you?
We're not going to comment on that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what Power Team was? Power Team was Acclaim taking all of its licenses and trying to make a superhero team with all of them, and you basically had a basketball player, a barbarian, a narcotics police officer, a talking tomato, and a truck. That was the Power Team.
Yeah, so if we're honestly, you know what? That will be that'll be our last downhill mention, because I don't think you can get any worse than Power Team.
Well, don't challenge me, because I know some stuff. Because
for the masses, we will keep Power Team is the ultimate low. If you watch that one, tell John what you think,
because it was part of Video Power.
Video Power
Before it became freaking Nick Arcade knockoff.
Oh man, so you know. We kind of dragged you guys and through the mud a little bit. We're gonna bring you back up in a positive way. And way back in the day, at the dawn of this podcast, we talked about mascots. And one of those mascots happened to have a pretty cool TV show. It was pretty catchy, and it went, Earthworm Jim. He's such a groovy guy. Yeah. Earthworm Jim.
Something about
a hero for all time.
I don't remember the theme song. I used to know it by heart as a kid. I don't know anymore.
Why do I know these songs still? Like,
because they're catchy as hell, and if you actually liked them or remembered them, you'd keep them in your head forever.
I don't know any details about the episode, but I could sing the Earthworm Jim song.
Yeah, I mean, attention spans, man. You got to get those kids quick.
So that, honestly, I feel like that was like one of the perfect cartoon shows of the 90s. Right out the gate, episode 1 didn't take itself seriously and delivered its zaniness, coining the Animaniacs phrase, right?
Mm-hmm.
To perfection. I mean, remember, it was either episode 1 or episode 2 where we first got to see his partner transform into Psycho Death Dog.
Yep.
And
Peter Puppy, yeah.
They gave you no indication. You just hear Peter talking all happily and everything. Something happens. Peter snaps, and Jim just looks at him, cartoon glance over. Oh no, except he was my lord and Christ.
So I have to go and strangle Bart because I'm voiced by Homer Simpson. I remember that show, and the funny thing is we've talked about the way that certain games were set up to be perfect for like cartoon type stuff.
Yep.
Earthworm Jim suits it really well because each level of the game was something like out of a completely different cartoon episode.
And I think, honestly...
And Doug Apple's a crazy person, so there you go.
I mean, that's fair. I think it mirrored the game well, because, as you just mentioned, like, Lawyer Planet, the Swamp Planet...
Planet Hell.
Oh, my God. Like...
And you go to hell and you fight a snowman that barfs on you.
That game was so ridiculous. I need to go play that game again.
Oh, hell yeah. And, like, New Junk City, where, like, the crane operator is vomiting fish on you.
Oh, God, I remember that.
Just, like, the imagery of that game alone can really lend to, like, you know... a generation of kids who are watching things like Ren and Stimpy.
That is very true. But I think the TV show and the game, they like hand in hand. whenever we're watching TV shows, we want to see some type of progression or change. Like, we don't want to see the same thing 90 million times. Sometimes. And
I just think of every sitcom. I think of every popular cop show.
hey, we're talking about cartoons. You leave those non-animated junk fests out of this.
You're right. Take that, CBS. They'll never sponsor us now.
Bye, Law and Order.
Bye, Blue Bloods.
But I think it mirrored the video game hand in hand, because every time you progressed in the video game, it's like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this. I know what to expect. Like, you see everything in every level, and it's like, cool. And then all of a sudden you're in New Junk City getting vomited on, and it's like, what? And then you're in hell fighting lawyers with briefcases.
And there's no one screaming when the hell music is playing, but when it starts playing elevator music, you hear the screams of the damned.
It took it up a notch every level in a way that was very harmonious. And then the TV show decided to do the same thing. Like, you remember the episodes when Jim lost the power suit?
I do. I remember some of them. The one episode I remember vividly, like the most, is one where like his neighbor lost an egg beater and they have to go find it. I'm like, what?
It was things like that. And you could tell. I feel like with cartoon shows, like in all shows in general, you can generally tell when the development team, the writers, the animators, the storyboarders, they're having a good time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we got with Earthworm Jim. I think that was one of that would be in the top 5 best representations of 90s video game cartoons. Wouldn't you agree?
I'd say so too, especially because like the way that the game was made at Shiny is that they really did like hand animate everything. Mm-hmm. Like, because Virgin Games and Shiny kind of go hand in hand when it comes to certain development stuff, and this is where my game history knowledge comes in a little bit. But yeah, I remember them individually animating like the cells for Jim, and just like I wasn't there, I don't remember like context.
I was in the room,
but I remember seeing footage of them scanning that in and making it into pixels and all that stuff. But
it's amazing. And I think that's one of the few shows that could stand the test of time, because we're kind of seeing a resurgence of that zaniness. Because Animaniacs even came back, remember?
Right, but did they really need to?
I'm a firm believer that the children of today need to remember the children of yesterday and represent themselves with a good 90s cartoon. That is my soapbox voice. I am off.
We are going to have an entire split podcast now where we just talk about cartoons, and it's just going to basically be me quoting Steven Universe and you quoting, like, I don't know, Ren and Stimpy. And it's going to be like, this is going nowhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually think John just spoke into existence something pretty cool. So
God, no!
Don't
do this to me. Don't make me do this to other people.
So I'm gonna spit something fun into existence. So as you know, our YouTube channel, it's very fresh. You can listen to season 1 and our season 2 episodes on there as well.
Those come out usually every Friday.
We have tangented on different topics from TV shows, wrestling knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Don't remind me.
And everything in between. We are going to deliver you fun little 5-minute, 10-minute segments of I can't believe James and John said those things, where we just talk about the most random topic for 10 minutes, hard cutoff.
Remember in Jackass 2 there was the butt chugging?
You remember when Wee Man bungee jumped off of the other guy?
Remember the time that Johnny Knoxville was riding that giant rocket and then it exploded and sent like a bunch of shrapnel and like piping everywhere and almost decapitated some people? That would have been picture rap. Pepperidge
Farm remembers.
God.
So sorry for randomly inserting that, but please stay tuned. We want to give you more fun stuff, so that's a surprise that I literally spoke into existence.
It can't be a surprise if you tell them.
Well, John is mean mugging me because he had no idea I was going to say that. His hands are shaking.
My hands are in my face. I'm just like, there's just more stuff now.
He's like, the beta aniline, give it back to me.
Yeah, give me back my. I was going to say it on a recorded podcast, like, give me back my drugs. Oh my God.
Energy drinks, they are drugs.
Mm-hmm. And here's the number one legal drug, man. Sugar. WWW, you know what that stands for? Wacky Wrong World. Someone's got to get this straight.
Oh, no. So, I think Earthworm Jim was an awesome one. Do you have any other ones for the audience that would be a really good trip down nostalgia lane to watch?
Something that would actually like make you happy when you watched it. Honestly, watch the Legend of Zelda cartoon because it commits itself so much to the moonlighting bit of like Mario and Zelda, of Link and Zelda like living together after he's pretty much saved Hyrule with the Triforces and stuff, that you're like, wow, this is actually what would happen if like if this, as far as we knew of what Legend of Zelda was, actually happened. Like these two roommates who basically have nothing in common except for the fact that one's a princess and one saves the princess. You know what I'm saying?
The fact that that's the so I'm not the biggest connoisseur of Zelda knowledge, but if I'm not mistaken, that is the only time, video game wise or anything, outside of randomly created dorkly or dorkly fan animations, we hear Link talk. And not only does he talk, he's like pseudo New York Bostonian, like, you need to be quiet, basically, to the princess.
Well, excuse me, princess. And then I get on my handlebars like, well, excuse.
Oh, no.
Riding through Hyrule. But what's cool about that is that, again,
is that the only time he talks?
There was like a Japanese commercial for the Nintendo that had him like, speaking Japanese. But
that doesn't count.
It
That's
doesn't
a commercial.
count. It didn't come out in America. It doesn't count.
It does not exist.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, there's that, but there's also like, again, like they're really interesting. Like all of the shows we've talked about are these really interesting time capsules of what video game pop culture really was for a time. And it's weird just seeing all of the varying degrees of stuff that you get. Because for all the stuff that we didn't get, like the really cool Dragon Warrior animes or the Street Fighter movies until later, and all sorts of stuff that came out there, even the OVAs that finally came out in like 1999 at the turn of millennium and stuff.
Absolutely.
And then they started to actually kind of correct the course on that. Like, okay, Kirby cartoon made by a Japanese studio with Japanese writers.
Shout out to the anime renaissance of the late 90s and early 2000s. Thank you, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Thank you, Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you, Sailor Moon. That is the only time you will hear me say thank you to Sailor Moon.
How dare you? The Saban dub of that show was awesome.
It was a good show.
And it was way better than the live action one they were going to make.
Fighting evil by the moonlight.
Yeah.
Winning love by daylight.
That's a bop right there.
Something, something be right. Dun, dun, Sailor Moon.
You sound like such a poser right now.
Hey, at least I remember 2 lines of the song. You remember none.
We'll cut that part out when I start singing. Anyway.
John starts singing and all of a sudden portals open up to hell.
Portals open up to Babeland. Hell yeah.
Furrytopia!
Shut up.
So I agree.
Okay. So are there any more ones we can talk about? Any big ones? Like, what about current stuff? Is there anything currently being made right now?
So actually, I was going to give a shout out. So the series just ended. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, the new Castlevania series that was released.
The one where the first episode in the first season talks about a guy having sex with a sheep.
I mean, yeah, and where they kill Dracula's wife.
Yeah.
And Dracula just says, cool, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, and kills everyone and everything. And I'm just sitting back here like, it's one of those things where back in the day, when video games had to prove that they weren't just for kids, like they would just make a, like teen-rated they'd make Shadow the Hedgehog, basically. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now we get full-blown, like well-animated, well-done, animated extravaganzas like Castlevania. We are in a good future.
That series, if you have the chance, so that's my farewell honorable mention of current times, because this was about 90s and the old Attitude Era of cartoons.
The Attitude Era of cartoons, yeah. Remember Slam on Nicktoons Network? Yeah, you're a kid from the 90s. Drink a Capri Sun.
Hey-yo. But, man, is my new thing.
Hey, I say anyway, so whatever. Anyway,
the Castlevania show, watch it. There's 4 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
Jeez, really?
They're not long. And it actually tells the story so well. And it's one of the rare shows that weaves multiple stories to perfection within the storyline. So it's not just, I'm following the hero, da 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 da. They introduce characters, build upon the characters. The animation is superb.
Mm-hmm.
The fight with Dracula, oof.
I still need to catch up with seasons 3 and 4, actually. So,
Well, luckily I'm only mentioning season 1 right now.
thank God.
So,
No, they fight Dracula in season 2.
was it season 2?
Yeah, because they fight Alucard in number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Because he tries to kick Alucard in the dick and it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I just imagine Peter Venkman just like, this man has no dick.
So, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, any of the shows, even the bad ones, give them a shot. It's a trip down nostalgia lane. The movies we mentioned, from Transformers to the Sonic movie, those are really fun watches as well. But try it out. See the cartoons of yesterday and gain a little more appreciation for the cartoons of today.
No doubt.
Aw, look, I did a warm fuzzy.
Hey, good job.
About damn time.
It took 20 episodes.
Damn, James. Keep up.
Yeah, say it just like that. And they say his heart grew 3 sizes that podcast episode. I think that's an arrhythmia.
So, honestly, I can't think of any other shows that we could recommend to the audience. What about you, John?
No, I think the word that I used earlier was time capsule. Like, they truly are that. So if you can survive the cringe, go do it. Go enjoy it. And enjoy it for what they were. And imagine being just like a kid and seeing these things when they were brand new for the first time and just being like, more cool stuff I might like. Awesome.
So, honestly, with that, as you know, you can always find us on Facebook and Instagram at Games with John and James. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, YouTube,
Wherever
Twitter.
modern podcasts are sold.
We are, congratulations, everywhere.
Congratulations everywhere. We're here. And you're welcome.
We're looking at you through your cameras right now.
Don't say that because that actually might get us investigated. That's like saying if you want to...
How's that going to get us investigated? Audio through a camera?
No. I mean, even if you put the idea in someone's head, that's what leads to a annoyed situation.
I mean, okay, that's fair. And those are coming back. I saw an advertisement in town at a Domino's, and it had a Noid holding a no sign.
Why? We don't want him back.
I know.
No one wants him back.
Failed experiments of the 80s and 90s. Noids.
Bad mascots. Anyway.
So, as always, I'm James.
And I'm John.
And this has been Games with John and James, a trip down memory lane through good, bad, and ugly cartoons from the Attitude Era. I'm coining that. Thanks, WWE.
Thanks for coming up with this thing I'm going to completely appropriate for my own thing.
Ayo. So, yeah.
Just like wrestling. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, there's the stunner! And episode over.
Just have Stone Cold's music play right here.
The soil he did crawl. A super suit did fall. Jim was just a dirt eating, chewy length of worm flesh, but all that came to a crashing end. He's such a groovy guy. He rockets through the sky, cruising through the universe, having lots of fun. Here comes Earthworm Jim, you know that he's a mighty one. Look out! Despite his great big muscles and his really big ray gun, Jim is still an earthworm, but then he's the only one with a super suit to make him really super strong. Jim can be a winner if we only sing along. Earthworm Jim.
We think he's mighty fine. A hero for all time.
Earthworm,